Welcome back to our Cow Safari from Wilpattu, and also we apologize for the technical issue. Yourself, by the looks of it, Vimukthi and Chandika are still stuck right in the middle of the road because of this wonderful roadblock.
I know. It's the most wonderful kind of roadblock, but everyone does kind of get anxious after a while because if the leopard's not moving, there's
you don't
no
move either.
Exactly. You know? And generally the accepted ethic of wildlife tourism, I'm guessing anywhere in the world, including Sri Lanka, is that you do not disturb the wildlife.
That's right.
You do not disturb the wildlife. You let them have their time. This is their space. We are listening their space, and we need to respect that boundary.
And the point of going all the way to a national park is to, like Wilpattu, is to enjoy them in their natural surroundings and their habitats, and not
Exactly.
disturb them and bother them too much, right?
Exactly. And one of the things that I can point out over here is the fact that in Wilpattu, there are chances of you seeing leopards out in the open like this on sandy roads like this. One of the reasons that they come out onto these roads is the fact that that sand is soft and
warm. Sand is warm.
And the sand is also warm. And they love lounging in these areas. Elsewhere in the world, actually, you would not see leopards this close and out in the open like this. But in Sri Lanka, the leopard is the apex predator in the country. So it's the king of the jungle, and it can move out and relax and do whatever it wants, the way it wants.
Right. We've had a few questions already, and just to remind all our viewers that we have 2 drones and multiple camera teams working tirelessly at Wilpattu in order to bring you the best wildlife footage possible, so that it's an action-packed hour of wildlife surfing. So I think Vimukthi and Chandika are finally back online with us in order to tell us a little more of what's happening over there. Let's see if they have found their way around the leopard. And they have.
Here near Pomparipur, where usually the elephants can be found in Wilpattu National Park. Inside the national park, the elephants are not very common. 1 or 2 male elephants are there, but the herds are not very common because they don't have enough food and the water to survive the large herds. Whereas here, this is on the right side of the road is the Kalaway floodplain, and Kalaway floodplain provides nourishment for a lot of grasses to grow during the rainy season. Their body condition is not very good because it's a dry season. Food is not very plentiful, but still they are somehow surviving. And if you want to see the elephants in Wilpattu, you must come to Pomparipur, this side. And this side, of course, in the evening they usually come out and freely feeding, and you can enjoy the life of elephant herds in this Wilpattu National Park.
There's 2 small calves as well in this herd.
But the grass is very brown and dry, but
it's
still,
not very nutritious.
No, but still they have to find something to eat and survive.
What a beautiful scene. Now, this is something that's not very typical of what you see inside the park. This is more towards the fringes of the park that you see families of elephants gathering.
Okay.
Actually, inside the park, it's a bit of a uncommon sight to see herds of elephants, which you don't see. You will see, but there are chances of seeing a lone elephant, a lone male or 2. I've had many beautiful sightings inside Wilpattu National Park with elephants, but this is a little atypical, to see families. Now you see them Now, this particular area of footage is coming in from the area of the Hunugam village, which is on the buffer zone of the entrance of the park. And these kind of... and on the right, you see what is a very, very rare sight. It's a young tusker. Beautiful. Now, one of the things that's interesting about Sri Lankan elephants is that tuskers are a very rare phenomenon. You only about 5% of all Sri Lankan elephants are able to grow tusks. And
so is this one herd, Yasas?
this could be a gathering of several families of maternal families, and from the top of the screen,
there's more there. Yes.
You see another group coming in. And
we've got Vimukti and Chandika ready to share something with us. Dinner.
Not really.
It's
this
not.
is the national bird of Sri Lanka,
Yes.
which is the Sri Lanka jungle fowl.
Right.
Who we see over here is what we see over here is a sub-adult. Actually, the fully grown Sri Lankan jungle fowl has a much larger crest and is more colorful. This is the male.
Right.
The female, as in most bird species, are not as colorful and flamboyant. And here we see some spotted deer, which is one of the more common sights of the park. But please don't let the fact of how common they are, mislead you to think that they are not important. They're actually very, very important. They're actually very, very important, and they play a crucial role in the ecosystems. They're like the gardeners of the forests. They eat all the grasses and they remove all the weeds and all that by consuming them, and keep this kind of neat kind of level of grass that you see all throughout these grasslands of Wilpattu National Park. And of course, when you come to Sri Lanka, if you ever visit Sri Lanka and the national park, spotted deer are very, very common. You see them all over, and they're one of the main prey items for the Sri Lankan leopard. They're one of the main prey items. So, if not for the spotted deer, you might not even see leopards. It's a very delicate symbiotic balance.
Yasas, we have to go into a short commercial break, and we will see all of you on the other side. Just stay tuned.
Yeah. Again, some wild boar.
We have a group of wild boars on the other side of the willow, and they actually like to hang around at the edge of the willow, not in the water area, like a muddy. There's a muddy substrate, thin line, and they love it. They just play, and there are a lot of piglets also in this. They're a bit far away. This is the animal actually. The adult wild boars can challenge rule of the forest.
They can.
The leopards don't want to deal with adult wild boars. If leopard is in real desperation of hunger, they will try to grab piglets, not the big ones.
Okay.
I have seen so many times that the wild boars have attacked leopards, and leopards are always trying to stay away from wild boars. That is one animal actually that can cause a lot of trouble for leopards. And they're also a big part of the ecosystem. They're doing a lot of changes. They're always plowing the land, and that is very important part of the ecosystem.
So food-wise, they'd be eating worms and
insects, then beetles, all these small invertebrates on the ground.
Right.
Even
but also plant matter.
Yes, yams and plant matter.
Okay.
People think that, sometimes they eat dead animals also.
Yeah.
But they don't kill animals. They eat some, if there's any leftovers of carcasses, they consume that.
So try to say they eat anything and everything.
Yeah, somewhat omnivorous, yeah.
Right.
But very powerful animal.
Yeah.
Extremely powerful animal.
And they've got the little
tusks
as well.
Yeah. Adult males, very sort of mature males have a tusks, which is very dangerous, my God. Very sharp. Yeah,
okay.
Very sharp, unlike the elephant tusks. These tusks are very sharp at the edge, and they're deadly. They're curved.
Because they're always digging and rubbing it on.
But very interesting animal.
Right, tiny piglets.
Exactly. A lot of piglets. Yes, yams and plant matter. Okay. People think that the wild boar mama has a lot of work to do when there's
so many piglets,
10 to 15 piglets to feed them, to find the food them, and to secure them. So a lot of work for wild boar mama. Very powerful.
Be just lying on the ground.
Yeah, because it's cool now.
Right.
So it's a heat of the day. The mud is very cool, and then they just love to play in the mud. They just love to play in the mud. They're like little kids,
Yeah. And then I see the cattle egrets are following them around as well.
Because when they dig, play in that muddy substrate,
right,
a lot of worms get, they just disturb the soil. And cattle egrets take an advantage of that and trying to pick the worms and other invertebrates that have just come out because of the disturbance, soil disturbances created by the pack of the group of wild boars.
Okay, interesting. Them around.
Yeah. Worms get.
A warm welcome to all those who just joined our couch safari all the way from Wilpattu, and of course made possible by GIZ, which is the German Development Corporation, together with the Department of Wildlife and Conservation and Sri Lanka Tourism. Oh, we see another leopard, of course, lounging once again.
This, I have to say, Chandigarh and Wilmukti are having a great day out of the park. What we're seeing right now here is this beautiful young leopard. It could most likely be a male, and it looks like a sub-adult. And we are given another feed over here, another spotted deer, who's just kind of looking out. They have extremely great hearing, spotted deer, and there's always, you'll find a number of them keeping alert. They're like sentries, and one great way in the field to know if there's a leopard around is to keep your ears open for the cry of one of these deers. They'll give an alarm call which will alert the rest of their herd. And maybe it's time for our young leopard, who is a male. Now you can see if you just take a little peek under its tail. And he's going about. Maybe his mom and siblings are probably close by too.
Because you did say this was a younger leopard, right?
Definitely a young leopard. When you see a male leopard that's fully grown, it's very unmistakable. They're very they're very big and they have that kind of presence, which this kind of commanding presence, which is quite unmistakable. And as you can see, once again, we're back to the spotted deer, which is like the main source of food for the Sri Lankan leopard. Leopards are notorious for targeting the smaller deer, the
That's
fawns, because they are the easiest kind of prey for them to capture.
And of course, we've got Vimukthi and Chandika who will be joining us in a few seconds to tell us what's happening on the ground there.
There is a Madang tree here. Madang is one of the dominant trees in the Wilpattu forest habitats. Madang is also very important for many animals to feed, not only the birds. Now in this particular tree, most of the other trees doesn't have fruits. This one has fruits for some reason. We don't know why. This is not the fruiting season. And bears also love this to eat madang. It's very sweet, and when it gets ripened, it's blackish.
Okay.
Now we can see.
It looks like it's.
I saw giant squirrel. The monkeys are there, and it's very sweet. Even we can eat. Very popular among many variety of wildlife, and again another example of how the trees are connected to the wildlife,
and how important it is.
Exactly. And the wildlife in turn dispersing these plants throughout the forest. Whenever they go, they defecate, droppings, seeds, madang seeds are there. So they are the seed dispersal. Of course, they get to feed the seeds, the fruits, and then they go and take this plant to another location. So that's how this plant dispersal is happening with the support of the many wildlife species.
Right. Mr. Vimukthi, now that we started that conversation and we brought in the bears, let's speak a little bit about. I know we don't have a bear here, but we did see one earlier. If you could just.
Yeah, the Wilpattu is also a popular place for bears.
Yeah.
Most of the bears have been sort of observed in the Malabar that area. And yesterday also we saw one bear in that area. But they are spread throughout the park, in many areas of the park.
Right.
They have enough resources to sustain a good bear population here. And
so we talked about them eating palu and the other seeds,
yeah, the other thing is
and the other stuff that that
and the other important thing about the bears here, this park has higher density of termite mounds.
Okay.
Wherever you go, different shapes and different size, huge termite mounds. So
Right.
the termites are big part of this ecosystem. Termite mounds are in higher density than any other parks in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Everywhere you see the termite mounds, and the bears also love to eat termites.
Right.
Because they love insects, they love termites, and then they dig, especially after rains.
Right, when it gets softer.
Yeah, the sand is the clay is getting softer.
Right.
So they have long claws. So they've dig.
Got the adaptations specifically to do that, to dig into the
Yes,
termite
and then
with the long claws.
and they sort of suck the termites out of these
Right.
small cavities.
So it's like a vacuum cleaner.
It's a vacuum cleaner. Very fascinating to see how they feed termites.
Okay.
But they need to feed in large numbers.
Right.
Because termites are
it's
tiny, and this is a big mammal,
Right.
and they need to eat large quantities of termites.
Right.
So the high density of termite mounds is an example of there's plenty of things to feed for bears, and also wide variety of trees and the berries.
fruits and
Yeah.
So I,
Palu, Veera,
Right.
Madang, Yakadamaran, so many different species of
so is it
fruits.
safe for us to say that the sloth bears are? I mean, I wouldn't say. Would you say omnivore, or they're more like an insectivore?
Well, they are.
But they
you
have
know,
been known to feed on like carrion, like
Yes.
Scavenge.
They scavenge.
yeah.
But they don't kill animals.
Okay.
They don't kill animals. People think that they have, because of their long claws and things like that, they're predators. No, they are not predators.
Right.
They are not predators, but they feed dead ones. Crayons, which was killed by leopards.
Right.
But they're mostly insect feeders and also the berries. Most of the times berries. Yeah.
Fascinating things
Yeah,
things about bears and
And they are super climbers.
Yeah.
They just climb trees. I mean, they can come to the sort of very thin branches at the end of because berries are all at the end of the branches.
okay.
But they have a way to sort of
So come
reach
towards
to
the
these
edge.
edges to tiny branches and eat the berries.
But I have seen them fall.
Yeah.
I have seen them fall off trees
Yeah, they do.
a few
They
times.
do. They break branches and bang.
Especially the
get
palu
into
trees, they go and they
Yeah.
just gorge themselves on it, and
Yeah.
then I guess they get a bit more greedy, and then they
Yeah.
go towards a thin branch, and then charas, tud. But then they just pick
Get
themselves up,
and
shake themselves
run,
off,
run.
and get back to eating.
Sometimes go back to the same tree, climb back
they
again.
climb back to
and
the same tree, or they
Yeah.
start eating what has fallen on the floor
Yeah.
with the fellow himself.
Yeah. And that's what they do sometimes. When the monkeys are there,
Oh,
when the
right,
monkeys are feeding, they actually drop some, their movements, helping all these ripened berries to
fall
down to the
There's,
ground. And then the bears come and
There was
especially
one more
the
thing
little
that I wanted to discuss with you. Sometimes you see monkeys and you also see other herbivores, like especially spotted deer.
Oh yeah,
They
because
come to the same area.
yeah.
Is it because of the fruits falling down, or is it because the monkeys have a better alert system or better surveillance system where they always have a lookout?
I think the fruits.
Okay.
The fruits and the branches. Monkeys also tend to break branches,
right.
and they drop those branches.
Okay.
So those are sort of very healthy food for spotted deers,
Right.
especially in the peak dry season.
Hmm.
In the peak dry season, all the grasses are somewhat dry,
Okay.
and the fallen leaves from the trees are
Oh, it's like
delicacy,
gold dust.
yeah. And then and not only spotted deers, but sometimes you see the small deer, the barking deer, and the mouse deer also feeding when monkeys are feeding on the treetops. So those are the sort of connections between different species of wildlife in the same habitat that share the land with multiple species of wildlife.
Right.
So it's symbiotic relationship. They support each other. And that's how the cycles are continuing. Natural cycles are continuing.
Amazing.
Yep. So we are very fortunate to see this madang tree with fruits.
As you said, in this particular season, because it is not the fruiting
Unfortunately, we don't have any branch within our reach. We should have shown you the ripened fruit. Maybe we can try that and see. Anyway, let's go.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Hemant, Yamu.
Some great information from Vimukti and Chandika at the wildlife at the Wilpattu park.
Oh, here we see a beautiful pair of Malabar pied hornbills. These are rather large birds for birds who can take flight. They're very large, and as you can see, this characteristic, like the unique bill, is one thing that separates them from the other type of hornbill that's there in Sri Lanka, the endemic Sri Lanka grey hornbill, which is found closer to the wet zone, more or less. But the Malabar pied hornbills, you can see, very commonly all throughout the dry zone of Sri Lanka.
And is it common to see them in pairs like this?
Yes,
Oh.
you can see them in pairs, you can see them in small groups of
Right.
maybe 5, 6. They're very loud, very boisterous type of birds. And one thing that I love about the hornbills is also, well, not just the way they look, but they make this beautiful whooshing sound that they have when they fly off from wherever they are perched. And something that you might be very interested to know, Monique, is their breeding habits and also their the way they rear their young. So usually they nest in a cavity inside a tree, usually, and the male hornbill, he traps. Well, what it looks like being trapped for us. The female inside this cavity by plastering clay on the entrance of the cavity, and that's how it keeps the female and the young ones safe. And when they're hatched and ready to come out, the female breaks out of that cavity, and which is something very interesting that you don't see with other birds. And here you go. Here's a male Malabar pied hornbill. Oh, and this is what's called a woolly-necked stork, which is one of the species of stork that you see. There are several species of stork, just to be clear. And this one is called the woolly-necked stork because guess what?
It's got a woolly neck.
It's got a woolly neck. And they're usually ground-dwelling birds, but you see them coming up to the higher branches to preen themselves and clean their feathers, which is a very important part of maintaining themselves in the wild. You might think that they're all dirty little wild animals, but no, they do
groom themselves.
They do groom themselves. Oh, and what we see here is a Pacific golden plover, which is a interesting bird that you can see in Wilpattu, especially during the migrant season. When the weather gets cold up in the north, birds such as this, the Pacific golden plover, migrate to Sri Lanka in large numbers, and Wilpattu National Park is one of the best places to get to see these birds. This is the very beginning of their migration. This is like what you're seeing here at this time of the year is the first wave of migrants coming in, and golden plovers you can see in the first wave. What's beautiful about this bird is that the longer they stay here and just before they leave, their plumage changes. The plumage is their feathers. This kind of blackish plumage turns into a vibrant kind of golden color, and that will happen longer they stay, the longer they feed. You can see them on the edges of the willows or the waterways, and they usually consume a lot of insects and these worms and all that, like living in these wet areas.
So we hope you are all enjoying our couch safari all the way in Wilpattu, and of course this project is commissioned by BMZ, supporting Wilpattu National Park and Influence Zone Management in Sri Lanka, combines the conservation efforts within the Wilpattu National Park with the sustainable development of its influence zone, and aims to improve the park's management capacity with emphasis on the park operations, environmental and visitor use programs in technical and specialist terms in support of the Wilpattu National Park Management Plan. So we thank all the partners, tourism stakeholders and travel enthusiasts who supported this wonderful project and sharing it on social media. Of course, if you want to send us your questions, you can do so on any of on Facebook and YouTube, and we will answer them the best we can. We have quite a few questions and we'll get to it.
Just before we go into our break, let me tell you what you're looking at right now is the Borupan Villa grasslands that's adjoining the Borupan Villa, which is a villu inside the park. These tall grasses are perfect hiding places for the leopard, who hide and wait until they get prey coming in. Anyway, let's join you guys back after this commercial break.
So we came across another eagle. Earlier on safari we showed you a changeable hawk eagle, and Mr. Vimukti explained that that one had a white face, and now we've come across the same species but the brown face, and I mean you can clearly see the difference. It's got a completely brown face, and even the chest area, it's got speckling rather than being just white. And this one, Mr. Vimukti, looks like a more mature bird than the one we saw before.
Definitely, this is a mature one, and this is brown face of the changeable hawk eagle. It used to named as a crested hawk eagle. I think that's a better name, but now it says changeable hawk eagle.
Right.
But he's on a high alert. He's just scanning around, and then the little birds are chirping around, so he's just keeping an eye on anything that he can snatch from the bushes. But somewhat chilling, I guess. So as I said earlier, there are two larger eagles, raptor birds, that are common in Wilpattu, which is the crested serpent eagle and the changeable hawk eagle. So I mean, this is a good sighting, I think.
It's a good sighting because we've got both now. We've got a comparison for the viewers to see that you have the white.
The juvenile one that has more whitish, but this is a mature.
And that
bird.
too, then you have the mature bird and the juvenile bird and the white face, and then now the brown face. So that comparison to show it, but it's the same species. It's the same species. It's just got two color variations. Interesting, I think.
You can actually clearly see the crest.
The crest is moving in the wind.
Yeah, when it's moving around, and you can see. But they usually doesn't erect it unless they get excited or they get alarmed.
Okay.
They just erect it but now it's just chilling. It's just chilling there.
But you can see he's so alert. I mean, he or she, we don't know. He's so alert. As soon as one of the egrets move or another small bird moves, I saw kingfisher flapping.
Kingfisher,
He or she just dials onto it like really quickly, and knows that eyesight must be amazing.
Oh, they have absolutely like very binocular vision. They can see things from far away, and that's the one key aspect of the raptor birds. Their success is that the eyesight and the talon, the feet, very strong feet, and the beak.
So lovely when you have a small patch of water. You get, there's a buffalo, there's butterflies mud puddling, there's egrets, there's kingfishers, there's the hawk eagle.
I hear a whistle. That's I think it's mardan tree. Some pigeons are feeding.
Orange-breasted pigeon.
Looks like the whistle. I heard the whistle. Yeah, I can see some birds are just jumping around there.
What we're seeing here, for those guys who don't know, this is a Samba Deer. Now the Samba is the biggest species of deer that you can find in Sri Lanka. This is a female. They're considerably larger than the spotted deer, and these are also known to be prey items for the leopard.
Is it just the two species of deer
Actually,
Park?
in Wilpattu you get to see more species of deer. You get to see the barking deer
Okay.
and the mouse deer, in addition to the spotted deer and the Samba. The barking deer, of course. Well, let's hope Vimukti and Chandika find themselves one. But they are very skittish and very difficult to spot. Oh, and here we see a golden jackal. Now, some people might think this is a fox.
I was just about to ask you that.
But it's not a fox, it's a jackal. This is the only type of canine like species that you find in Sri Lanka. They are hunters and they are also known to scavenge a lot. Oh, and such a beautiful sight. This is what a typical villu looks like. In Wilpattu there are about 50 odd villus like this. This is the only place in Sri Lanka where you have these kind of natural water depressions. And one thing that our viewers might be glad to know also is that Wilpattu is a park with a lot of history. But let's get back to that after this, talking about this beautiful sighting of this male leopard. Now we had a question from
That's right.
someone who's coming in.
We have Nuzhat Karim who asks, what does Yasas think about leopard luck?
Oh,
Is there such a thing?
I mean, there definitely is. A lot of people think and believe that there's such a thing called leopard luck. And let me tell you, as a person who has very, very, very moderate luck of seeing leopards, now, please don't take these visuals for granted because leopards are also very difficult to spot. You might go on a park round. There's no guarantee that you're going to see a leopard when you enter a national park in Sri Lanka. You just have to keep your eyes open, ears open, and be very alert. And having a good tracker is one of the main things that will help you spot a good leopard. Increase your chances by going early in the morning or in an evening because those are the best times.
Is it?
Yes. And when dawn is breaking or when dusk is just about to settle. So we're going to go back to Chandika and Vimukti on the ground in a bit.
Had 3 leopard sightings so far, and
which is amazing.
Yes, that's right. And also, I think it's probably also because we have multiple cameras out there.
Cicada sound and everything in the forest.
The jungle sound.
That's right, yeah. We'll
And
keep
a
quiet,
leopard.
okay?
Yeah. Beautiful young leopard.
That's the wildlife is all about. Look, we have seen the flagship cat of Sri Lanka, which is the leopard. The Sri Lankan leopard is very unique. The subspecies is endemic to Sri Lanka. That means this particular subspecies cannot be found anywhere else on the planet. That is why the Sri Lankan leopard is very special to us. And then it's little bigger than any other subspecies in the world. Looking at the forest now. Yeah, and right. Good picture. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at now. We'll wait and see whether he might. No, the water will come back. Not sure. No?
Yeah, the thing is, he went in towards the jungle a bit more, and we don't know whether there's any water source in that area.
Is there a place that is
To tell whether he's come back. Or maybe
for water sighting? Because we waited here for about 1.5 hours, almost 2 hours.
Yeah, we're closing 2 hours.
2 hours. So that's what it is. You know, these sightings will not come in a second. I mean, if you're really lucky, obviously. But these kind of sightings give you a extremely, what you call the appreciation of the wilderness and how hard it is to see these kind of sightings.
And you always appreciate a sighting like this.
Exactly.
Because we, up
It's all paid off. It's all paid off because we were waited. He was moving from one place to the other.
So we gave it some space.
Exactly.
That's very important, I believe.
Exactly. We have given the enough space and we kept quiet and he got what he wanted. Fantastic.
Okay, now this is a cobra. This is an Indian spectacled cobra, what you see slithering into the grasses. Sri Lanka is a place with a very, very high density of snakes and reptiles, and this is a star tortoise, what you see. Very cute and very slow.
Yes.
And
Harms no one, but it's
tough nut to crack.
a tough nut to crack, yes. Are there many of these?
There are several species of tortoises in Sri Lanka, yes.
I think this is a very matured one. It's somewhat bigger and the color is duller. So that means it's a very mature animal. And peacefully feeding. Wilpattu is a good place for star tortoises, especially after a long dry season. They usually come to the roads and water puddles and things like that. So, yeah, it's a good one, good specimen. It's feeding.
Yeah, he's nicely munching away on
nicely
the...
munching, yeah. Good specimen.
It's a good spot, and also with the light
Yeah,
and the dying sunlight towards the end of the day. Look at him go, he's like a slow moving armored vehicle
exactly.
going about its business.
And you can see the patterns, you know.
You can nicely see the
aptly named as a star
Star
tortoise.
tortoise. So they are completely terrestrial.
Yeah,
Completely terrestrial.
Oh, a closer look at this beautiful star tortoise. It's a different star tortoise. One of the things about these beautiful little reptiles is that the star tortoise, as they get mature, their shells develop these kind of ridges. So the earlier one that we saw that Vimukti and Chandika encountered had a much more pronounced ridge
That's
on
right.
its back. Whereas this one has a more of a circular shape.
So does that mean this one is younger than the previous?
Yes,
Tortoise, okay.
as they get mature, they develop those distinct kind of ridges on their shell.
Right.
And as Vimukti explained, these tortoises are completely terrestrial. So if you have any thought about, if you encounter one of these guys and pick them up and say, oh, here you go, let's put this guy into a pond, that's where it belongs. No, it's not where it belongs. You just keep it on a side.
Keep it where it is.
Yes. And another interesting thing to know is that these star tortoises are one of the most trafficked animals. But let's get back to that, because here we have one of the most iconic animals in the Sri Lankan wilderness, which is the sloth bear. Now, this guy is, you can't really distinguish his face yet because, oh, there we go.
He's busy.
He is looking for its meal.
Yeah.
Sloth bears are also notoriously difficult to spot. They're the only type of bear in Sri Lanka also. And what it's doing right now, it's digging for some termites, which consist one of the main components of their diet. They're not hunters per se, although they do feed on carrion and leftover carcasses of maybe leopard kills. They do feed on that, but they're mostly known to feed on termites and is insects, and of course berries. The madang tree or the Java plum tree that.
So you'd probably see them on top of one of those trees.
Oh
trying
yes,
to get hold of.
and another tree is the palu tree, which you find plentifully in Wilpattu and also in Yala National Park. Bears just love to get up those trees and gorge themselves on those berries. And the sloth bear is not. Don't let its appearance fool you. It's actually a very small species of bear, but that doesn't mean that they're at all like friendly or anything like that.
Okay.
Bears are known to be extremely vicious, especially if they encounter predators or like anything that they consider a threat. And one of the most distinct aspects are their claws, which you can see in the visual over here. They're very long, very sharp, very scary, and look at how beautiful that bear is. And one of the things is that they actually raise themselves on their hindquarters whenever they want to defend themselves.
Right, as a warning, right?
Yes,
Usually?
as a warning.
Okay.
Yeah, to make itself look larger and bigger. So if you ever see one of these guys,
I'll run.
Yes.
Yes.
Very wise thing to do.
So Vimukti and Chandika are ready.
That's it for the day from Wilpattu. Looking forward to connecting with you on 26/7 AM for morning safari from Wilpattu. Let's head over back to studio with Yasas and Monique to conclude the day. And that is from here. Bye-bye. Good evening.
So that was it from Vimukti and Chandika for the day. As you can see, it's beautiful. It's just the view over there at the Wilpattu National Park is amazing as the sun sets for today. And you
Yeah, and of course, like the limited time that we have on this couch safari is quite insufficient to give you all the details about the park, about its residents.
That's
and all
right.
that. We can get into so much information, and this is why, like, the COVID pandemic has forced us to a point where we have to do this in a digital medium. But of course, there's no substitute for actually going
That's
into the
right.
park and seeing this for yourselves. And there are so many beautiful landscapes. This is just but a glimpse into the beauties of Wilpattu National Park. It's definitely one of, if not the most beautiful national park in Sri Lanka. And if you haven't gone there, I would highly recommend that you make some plans to go visit and see all this for yourself once the pandemic lifts and travel restrictions are over. If you ever want to visit Sri Lanka, this should definitely be on your list of places to visit as well.
That's right. Thank you so much, Yasas. It was a pleasure having you here in the studio with us. And of course, our couch safari from Wilpattu National Park. Stay safe and stay home today and make plans to travel tomorrow.
Yes, we are going to be back again with the morning round on Sunday. So please stay tuned because, of course, the morning is a great time for some amazing sightings because all the animals are out. They're just beginning their day.
That's right.
And you can see all kinds of amazing things that you can witness from inside the park. And of course, in our next session, we'll get you more insights about the park. Of course, we were limited in terms of the time and everything. So
You can't cover all this in just 1 hour, right?
definitely not. Definitely
right.
not. And here's a typical scene, as you can see, a bunch of painted storks. You can see some egrets, some black-headed ibis, and of course, a woolly-necked stork walking about. This is a very beautiful scenic sights that we can see in Wilpattu. And if you joined us, if we had done this couch safari post-monsoon season, one of the things that you would see is these villus. They get populated by these beautiful, a carpet of flowers, which make it like this kind of ethereal kind of sight, very unforgettable, very, very beautiful. So if you are planning a trip to Wilpattu, we would suggest that you kind of time it so that the monsoon, you visit after the monsoon
So you can
season
enjoy
also.
the most of it. So thank you very much to all of you who joined our Couch Safari once again, and thank you to us, our partners, GIZ and BMZ. Thank you to our crew, our teams in Wilpattu and also here in the studio. And we will see you bright and early. That's right. Don't miss out our second and last transmission from Wilpattu on the 26th of September, 7:30 a.m.